Hello and happy Thursday. Coming at you live here from Insight Production Studios in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Robert Morales from RCO Network. RCO Network, good people, better business, discovering the best of you. For the next hour, we're going to be talking to a very special guest of mine about his life, his business, and about this challenging personal development stuff. We'll be taking questions live, so if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the comment section below, and we'll answer them as we go along. And if you could, give us a little love by giving those heart emojis. And if you're watching us on the replay, give us a little wow emoji, because wow, I can't believe you're not watching us live. If you are here on Facebook, go ahead and hit that like button on the Facebook page. But also find us on Instagram and LinkedIn, as well as ourceonetwork.com. And if you want any more information about sponsoring or marketing your business, please contact us, DM us, email us, pigeon message us, whatever you need to, and we will respond accordingly. So, hello. So today's Thursday, and I have a very special guest, only because the reason I started this whole networking thing was this whole idea of self-development and growth. And when I started really focusing on myself, I started making bigger strides, instead of those baby steps when it comes to our business. Sometimes we get so entrenched in our business that we forget to, work on ourselves, the admin or the business manager of ourselves. So with that said, what I want to do is introduce my special guest. We got him here for an hour long, so lucky you guys. And so with that said, for the past 15 years, he's been transforming people's lives. He's a graduate of the Missouri Military Academy, class of 1979. Hope I'm not dating him. Studied mass communications from Colorado State, as well as University of Arizona. Bear down. Studied human needs psychology from the Robin Madanias Center for Strategic Intervention. Certified in positive psychology. 13 years ago, he became the coach and director of the J.P. Burton Group. Please welcome Mr. John Page Burton.
Hey, Robert. Thanks. Glad to be here.
The audience, we don't have a physical audience. So
there we go.
We got to incorporate what we can.
All right.
Calm that audience down. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to be here. Good to be here tonight. Thanks for having me.
Long-winded intro. Yeah, so I'm really glad you're here. Gabby reached out. Gabby's my partner here at RCO Network, and she said that, she's been in contact with you. You've been kind of emailing back and forth for a good year, maybe, about your business. And do you want to start off a little bit about what your business is and who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So the J.P. Burton Group, I'm John Page Burton of the J.P. Burton Group, but we're a personal and professional development company. And I've been in this industry now for about 15 years, and prior to that had done quite a bit of, sales training and working for, with other companies and sales training fields. I spent some time in the direct selling industry, and that was a really good opportunity for me entrepreneurially and from a training standpoint. And decided, it's probably about 2007 or 2008. I can't, time just seems to fly, especially during COVID. It's really flying. But I just decided it was something. I talked over with my wife and just decided that it was an opportunity to really, I felt like it was time for me to give back. I'd had success. I'd started my career with in the advertising marketing world, and had owned an advertising agency for many years, and had enjoyed that. And then, like I said, spent some time in the direct selling industry, but I kept being drawn into this. People, for whatever reason, seemed to always be coming to me with, these questions. Like at that time was some kind of an example. I mean, I had so much stuff going on in my life that, I could barely keep it together, right? So, but people are coming to me, and I just realized that I did have a gift of really asking questions and really getting people to, maybe confide, maybe, they felt comfortable enough that they would share things with me. And so I started doing that with a lot of clients. It wasn't even a business. It was just people started saying, "Hey, you got to talk to this guy." And so it just kind of took off. So we just decided, I'd always wanted to write. I always enjoyed the personal development industry, and I just decided to take the plunge and go for it, and opened up a coaching practice. And over time, it has grown. It has gone in a lot of different directions. But the thing that's still the biggest thing for me, Robert, is every time I'm working with a client, I'm talking to you tonight. It's reinforcing for me. I get paid to teach myself, so it's kind of neat that's what I've chosen to do. But had an opportunity to write some books, and I think Gabby had actually signed up for my newsletter, so she had been following my articles, and so when she reached out, it was all of a sudden I put a face to a name, and so that's how that came about. But yeah, it's been quite an interesting ride, and I'm sure it's well, God willing, it'll be interesting for a while longer. So
Yeah,
that's how it all came about.
And in 13 years, you've had your business, right? This the
Yes.
JP Burton Group.
Yeah.
Who's that comprised of?
Well, it's myself, my wife, and then I have a network of freelancers. A couple hours ago, I was talking to my design team out of Pakistan. So we're kind of a virtual organization, but we also, my wife and I, she contributes greatly to what we do. She's always my sounding board, and she's when she's done with her workday, she's back there putting books together and making things happen on the editing end. And so,
Yeah.
And she has a pretty significant background in women's leadership. She's been involved in some of the top programs in the country. So it's very good for me to be able to bounce things off her as well. And so
is this who that is there? Is that your wife there?
That is Diona, yes.
I did have a suspicion because there was a number of photos in there. And so this woman was fairly common in there, and I figured, well, I'll take a chance and
take a shot at it. Right? That's great. That's a great picture. Yeah, she looks fabulous. So
correct.
Awesome. Best friend, business partner, just a great human being. That was a significant turning point in my life. Is when I met Diona. It was like people come into your life for a reason, and quite frankly, I really had not done real well in the relationship arena over the years. And so when I met Diana, it was really an interesting, it was just an opportunity to, find myself, so to speak.
It is kind of curious when you run across somebody that just, you're looking for that wish or that magic to happen. And there's so many times it just kind of sparks and you really didn't realize it. You weren't even looking for it, and it just happened to be there. And this could have been that moment. I don't know I don't know if you can describe what this is.
I have lost visual contact with you, Robert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working on that right now. So yeah, I've lost visual.
Is that better? I can see. I think Violet, can you see John? But I can see you, and I believe the audience probably can too. I'm hoping. Well, we may have lost John. So anyway, as we kind of wait for John to come back in, we seem to be having a little bit of difficulty. But what I do find interesting in this realm of self-development, on my own regard, as we wait for John to come back in, there's been many challenges along this road, and what I found is facing myself and facing those challenges. And when I've talked to Violet or the people around me in my career, it's those little things that are significance that you're afraid of, and I think we need to face. And sometimes that's a signal to confront that, or to involve yourself a little bit more, learn from. So I think we do have John back. How are we looking, Miss Violet? There he is.
There we are. Okay. I've been able to hear you. I
had to fill in. That's what we do. So stuff always happens, and sometimes we just need to fill in. So
there we go.
Hello.
We are back.
So the last picture I showed, and maybe you can see it here, like we were talking about your wife and your significant other, and when you can find somebody just as goofy and willing to participate in the things you do, I think it's a very unique situation. And
oh my goodness,
just at Walmart.
Cruel.
This was a public photo, by the way. So
yeah, we were no other than, I believe, Walmart there at Mountains, trying to get Halloween figured out or something, right?
Yeah, and so I did troll you on Facebook a little bit, because that's kind of what I do anyway. To find out a little bit more about you. One of the good sources, and since you're into psychology a little bit, is I get to kind of peel apart somebody's orange or maybe bananas, and really kind of see who they are through their pictures and how they
Sure.
portray themselves. I don't know if you do that or are inclined to do that when it comes to Facebook or some of these things.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I think that we go through, especially, when I I'll do the same thing with you. We became friends today, and I'll cruise through and see I saw you earlier. You popped up at some point. You had a windshield being put in. You look like a complete,
Goofball.
goofball, and it was fun. It's the other side of us. So many of us, we have and understandably so, we have the work face, and then we have the personal face. And I think, I have this theory that, whether we're at home or whether we're at work, we're basically the same person. I mean, the same things that, the same challenges we have, the same fears we have, everything is, wherever we go, we take ourselves with us. Is probably the best way I've ever heard it described. But I think of Facebook and stuff, we always try to put our best foot forward. I think that, you never see anybody on Facebook go, I had a terrible day today. The dog died. My spouse left me. You never hear any of that. We're all happy. We're all doing something fun. So,
Well,
I take it from that. That's
well, since you're into positivity psychology, you might not have enough friends that are into the negative.
Right.
There's a lot of crazy, different stuff on Facebook. It's interesting to find out what people are involved in. And again, I think we'll get into your business part because we do like to get into the actual content of this in the next segment.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I did come across this who's this happy guy?
Yeah, that's me. My wife and I, we do a lot of, that's one of our passions. We're very outdoor oriented. And in fact, this morning we started our day with a 6 a.m. Trip through the desert. So every day we try to ride, and there we are. That's Tempe Town Lake. A few years ago, we were up there. We'd love to ride from there to Scottsdale and back. It's a great ride.
Yeah.
That's our passion. Yeah.
And it's always good to kind of see what people are involved in. And again, you do put your best foot forward when it comes to social media. Do you use that kind of too in the work that you do? Do you use social media to kind of immerse yourself in a client or somebody that you're trying to help?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't, my coaching style, it's a very conversational style. And I just, people come to me for a myriad of reasons, and a lot of conversation. I tend to use, if I use social media, it's more to just get out my message or get content out or a book promo or things like that. But as far as using it, I have a thing with most of my clients. I don't mix that. So I don't really know. Now, if somebody was a client and they're no longer a client, and they send me a friend request, chances are pretty good I'm going to accept it.
Yeah.
But I don't usually mix client business and pleasure, so to speak. So I don't have any current clients on Facebook. Let's put it that way. I have a few on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I guess it'd be along the same lines. If I was a substance use counselor, I probably wouldn't show or want to show my clients that I'm drinking on the weekend or doing whatever medicinal things I'm doing. So,
well, and the other thing, Robert, too, is I'm in a business. It's my reputation, my practice is really based on confidentiality.
Yeah.
And I've worked with people. If I said their name right now, you'd know who they were. But I have confidentiality agreements with clients. And I really protect that. I don't. I've worked with husbands and wives separately, and I didn't tell either one what I was talking to the other one about. That's on there. So that's such a cornerstone of my business that it's so important that I maintain that that's a big deal. So I have my business life and my personal life, which you're tapping into a little bit with those photos, but you won't see too many pictures of me and clients, right? So
yeah, and it's good. I think
those are my living room.
And sometimes it's good, I think, from a client perspective, because at one point I was in counseling and I needed some help too. And that's not what you do necessarily, do consulting work for businesses and life coaching. But I actually went to a therapist. And I think in a way it's good to kind of reveal yourself and feel comfortable and confident. And I think that's what a lot of people lack, especially not only in their personal lives, but in their business life is the confidence to make decisions. And I really think that's where the stem of confidence comes from. I don't know from your perspective what people can muster to kind of find that confidence or that swing in themselves or their business.
Well, I think you talk about decisions. I mean, every time we make a decision in our life, we're building a muscle, and that muscle may be a muscle of courage. It may be just forming a habit. for us when COVID, COVID came to, in other words, when COVID got to a point where we realized, wow, the gym's closed, we made a decision, well, we want to continue to work out, so we turned our third car garage into a gym. We make a decision every morning to get up at, between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, have a cup of coffee. We make a decision to jump on our bikes and take a ride. We make decisions every day. Some of them, if you make a decision day in, day out, it becomes a habit. But some people right now are making a decision, sadly, between, buying school clothes or school supplies or food. I mean, those are the decisions that are very, very, those are the ones that are really tough. It's a pretty easy decision to go, hey, I'm going to get out of bed and go for a bike ride. It's a tough decision to have to decide whether or not you're going to, educate your child or feed your child. I mean, those are the kind of decisions that they suck, and they're tough.
Yeah, and we'll get into the content of your business and kind of what you do as far as consulting goes,
Sure.
career coaching and life coaching. We can talk to you can articulate that a little bit more
Sure.
as we get to our first break.
Sure.
I do want to announce we do have a special giveaway towards the end. So if you're watching us here now and you stick around all the way to the end, we have a special gift for you if you're the first person to chime in. We won't reveal that now because that's what we do. We want you to stick around. So if you want to ask John questions, we're going to take a short break here for a second. Comments, questions regarding his business, anything that we're saying, anything we're talking about, go ahead and make those in the comments section. Give us those little hearts, give us those little love, because we appreciate it, we like it. So John, stick around for about 2 minutes. We'll be right back with you in just a couple minutes.
I'm a perfectionist that understands that there's no such thing as perfection. I was, as an entrepreneur, sitting alone in an office. I was the owner, the managing partner, but who do I talk to? How do I find out that other people are really in the same boat? Let me create what I wanted because that's what others are apparently going to want to. When you're doing business, it has to have a purpose. One of those purposes has to be fulfillment. How is what I'm doing affecting people? Here we are, a networking group where everybody wants to get together. It's why we network. We want to learn more. We want to make connections. Hi, my name's Dan Kite, and I'm the CEO of Workuity, and this is our CEO Network.
Thank you, Dan, from Workuity, offering special rates to our members. So if you want to sign up for a membership at rconetwork.com, we are making revisions to the website. So just hang in there with that and talk to either myself or Gabby, or email us here, IM us at rconetwork.com, and we'll talk to you about your marketing needs. So we are talking to John about his life a little bit, but now we're actually going to get into the context of why we're here. So self-help and overcoming those challenges, personal challenges. And John's going to talk a little about what he actually does. So go ahead, sir.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always look at coaching because people ask me, for a long time, coaching was kind of misunderstood. Everybody, thought, well, who needs a life coach? And, are you a therapist? Are you this? Are you that? And, I never work with people. If there's something that I really feel like I can identify really quickly, if it's something I can help you with, if it's something that we really need to kick that up to somebody that's got, a lot more letters behind their name, so to speak, than I do, I'm very good about that. But coaching simply it's just a conversation between two people. It's focused on actions and solutions, no more, no less. So when somebody comes to me to hire me, if they're hiring me for a personal, something on a personal level, an individual level, then, it's the same conversation. If somebody's coming to me for a business to help them in their business, I do a lot of stuff with sales teams. So, it's the same thing. I mean, they have a desired outcome, and my job is to be an objective set of eyes that helps guide them to their own conclusions. I don't ever tell people what to do, direct them to do anything. In my process, it's about just guiding people to their own conclusions. And if you ask the right questions long enough, people will come to their own conclusion. I mean, I've had calls where the only words I've said and, in the entire call were, and then what happened? And then what happened? And how do you feel about that? And how did that make you feel? And pretty soon people start coming to their own conclusions. We all know what's going on. The problem is we don't know how to process it and then articulate it in a way that's healthy and that really benefits our overall well-being. And once you have somebody that can help you do that, but before any of that happens, you have to have the relationship has to be built in trust. I'm not going to have a conversation with a total stranger right out of the gate, but over a period of time through that conversation, we begin to build trust. We begin to take baby steps, so to speak. And then eventually, once that trust has been established, that's why the confidentiality piece is so important. Once that trust has been established, as a coach, I can help facilitate my clients into a whole new way of being, a whole new way of looking at things. And for me, that's what's exciting. That's my slogan or my tagline, see, transforming lives one breakthrough at a time, because that's what it really comes down to. It's having that breakthrough moment where you go, wow, okay, so that's what that's about. Oh, so then I just need to do this and that will, that's the part of it that's cool for me. It's seeing that process.
Do you think a lot of it, because I think we're both in the same kind of realm of helping, and you make it as a business, and I mean, in a way, this is it's formed around the same kind of criteria, I believe, that what you're doing. Do you believe that it's a lot of people just not trusting themselves or just feeling confident? And because 90% of the time people have already made the decision. They're just looking for you to kind of confirm that decision for them. And
sure.
I'm often confused by why people don't trust themselves more. I don't know your experience with that.
Well, I think it comes down to, so if you take this concept that by the time we're 8 years old, 65% of our belief system has already been established. Okay, so by the time we're 8 years old, 65% of our belief system has already been established. By the time we're 18 years old, it's 95%. What do I mean by that? Kids that grew up in households where they were told to shut up and stay out of sight, they had nothing of value to say, they carry that into adulthood. People that were encouraged, hey, if you just work hard and you're a decent person and you play by the rules and you do this, then you probably have people that move through life trying to do the right thing, playing by the rules. You have people that were told you can be anything. You can be, if you want to be the president of the United States, you can be. We had other people that went through horrific childhoods. Some of them turn out to be amazing people, but they're already off to a rough start. So when you start talking about trusting yourself, so much of that has already been, formed. The same programs that I had when I was, the same belief system I had when I was 8 years old, still the same belief system I have today. The key is you learn how to manage it in a way that is constructive as opposed to being destructive. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and it is I call it emotional maturity, on myself. So like finding that sense, that bridge to cross of yourself, not blaming other people for your woes and kind of your things that are going on.
Sure.
That is definitely, I face that literally this week. I've been feeling kind of down and just kind of in and out just emotionally. And I'm not shy to admit that, by the way, but
Sure.
you do, as a human, you are naturally just inclined to feel these things, to feel sad, and allow yourself to feel sad and pick yourself up from that. Yeah. And to be honest, I had one of the best weeks I've had in a long time, just in 1 week, financially. I've actually, this month has been great. I paid off my car. I really have no debt at this point. Everything's been paid off, but yet there's still that yearning, that push to try to strive for more. And it's like, when am I going to feel enough? And I've learned to kind of utilize that as a tool, but a lot of it is, that emotional maturity and understanding the things that in my past and the things that I've pursued aren't necessarily my reality today. And that's hard to articulate that. And I'm sure you've come across that with some of the work you've done too.
Well, you bring up some good points, and congratulations on having a great week, paying off debt. I mean, that's always a very fulfilling feeling. I think one of the big conflicts people have is do I live a life of achievement, or do I strive to live a life of fulfillment? And so there's a big difference. I know, especially when we're younger, our life is really more geared towards achievement. It's really important. We're climbing the corporate ranks. I have younger clients that are working their way up through, companies and governments and different things. And then I have people that are, a lot of the boomers, people that are in my age group, we're at the point in life where we're probably more geared towards fulfillment, living a life of fulfillment. And although they seem similar, I mean, achievement can be fulfilling, but they're different. And so I think that it's like everything, it's blending that balance between, I'm setting goals now for my business and taking things to a whole different level than most people. There are people my age that are already, they're already deep into the retirement planning stage. And I'm looking at launching some new opportunities. So is that about achievement? It's about achievement to a point, but it's really more about fulfillment. I just feel like I have so much more to give, so much more to offer, so many more people to serve. So the question for me becomes, how do I do that? How do I get that message out there and help people? So I think that, a lot of times we can get really caught up in achievement, but achievement isn't fulfillment. Fulfillment is when you go home at the end of the day and you have somebody to celebrate those victories you had this week. It's when you're not basing your worth, your value on what you can produce, but when you base your value on the life you live, the legacy you leave, givers gain. I mean, we've all heard that, but what that means to me is that when we give, when we're more outward focused, we just tend to have a better life. I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. I mean, if you're out there, trying to make an impact on the world, and you're out there doing the right thing and you're helping enough people, you're going to get what you want. It's going to come to you naturally. But when a lot of us defy the laws of the universe, we're trying to, we're so caught up, and I have to have this, and it has to look a certain way, and success is different for everybody. It's so different for everybody. That's where I come from. I just believe that success looks different to everybody, and there's no cookie cutter approach to it. Some people, success is having 3 houses and 5 sports cars. The success to somebody else is they're able to put their kid in a youth soccer program. Success to somebody else looks an entirely different way. So you have to be true to yourself. We get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses. And like I tell people all the time, the Joneses have their own set of problems. So we need to run our race. We need to be focused on living the most authentic life, the authentic version of ourselves. But it's hard, especially when you're younger. I mean, it's the lure. It's the look on TV. I mean, to be somebody, you have to look a certain way, drive a certain car, go to sandals in the Bahamas with some hot, person of the opposite sex. I mean, we're just programmed into this mentality. And at the end of the day, it's really not about that. And people that have experienced true fulfillment, they know it's not about that.
Yeah, so. and I think people are challenged too with the notions of like TV, what they see, what they reflect on. But I gave up TV a while ago. The only thing I watch now is news. But I think that was really restrictive as far as like expanding and being creative. When you're muddled with somebody else's message or their own creativity, it really muddles your sense of who you are, your creativity, and always aspiring to be something that somebody else is. You could very well be that, but you're always achieving somebody else's goal at that point. But we do have a question from the audience. Can you give us all a short story of a personal career challenge? I guess what I'm extrapolating is that somebody's asking, can you give an example of somebody's challenge and how they overcame that?
Somebody's or my own?
Either or. It's an open question.
Yeah, so I can go back to kind of give you a really good example. So we'll go back to 2013. I'm cruising along. I'm doing workshops. I'm doing seminars. I'm, out and about, a man about town doing my business. And all of a sudden next thing I know, I contract valley fever, and it's the kind that just destroys your lungs. I mean, I was in pretty bad shape, and so I no longer could be predictable. So all of a sudden, this is 2013, right? So this is way before COVID. I don't want to get COVID, but I'm not that afraid of it, right? So all of a sudden, I'm flat on my back, and my income streams are drying up, and I can't be accountable to anything or anybody. And so it was a really low point, and with a lot of encouragement, a lot of guidance from my wife, started to take a look at this and go, okay, so how can I change this business model to where I can still be accountable? And so I took, what would be normal workshops or seminars, and I took those and I turned them into teleconferences, and I started to offer I have a signature course that I do called Power Focus 90, and it's a 90-day total immersion coaching program. And I don't want to get into that right now, but all of a sudden I was able to take that and bring that into the teleconference, the world of teleconferencing. So free conference call became my friend. And what I knew was that I couldn't be accountable and say, yeah, I could be in Phoenix tonight in your studio, sitting there across from you doing the interview. But I know that no matter how banged up I was that day, I could come up with enough energy for this 1 hour. Yeah. And so I began to take it that way. I started to become more innovative. So when all of this happened with COVID, I didn't realize I was already here because I had to pivot. So when they talk to me, you hear the buzzword now is pivot. I had to pivot in 2013. I then again had to pivot again a few years later, and here we are pivoting again. So I think that that's a personal example. I'm talking with clients, to the person that asked that question, I'm talking to clients every single day whose lives have been completely disrupted. Clients that I talk to every morning, every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock now need to talk to me every other Tuesday. I have a client in a faraway country that she's had to put everything on hold because of COVID. So all of a sudden, now I'm coaching people on work-life integration. Because now everybody is home. Now that's a whole different ballgame. The person that was every Tuesday morning, we were talking about business. Now we're talking about business, but we're also talking about the frustration. The marriage is taking a hit because now everybody is under the same roof, and mom and dad are trying to be teachers, and they're trying to be daycare providers, and they're nervous, and God forbid someone gets sick. I've had clients that's happened to, and now they leave work at the end of their workday and they go become the caregiver because that person could no longer be in a nursing home. So everybody's having to pivot, and some of these things are so different than anything could have ever predicted. I mean, there's nobody on this line tonight that would have predicted a year ago. I mean, I remember writing this really uplifting article, my first article of 2020. It's a new year, it's a new decade. Yeah, we're going to go out there. And 90 days later, we're paddling down a fiery river, right? It's continuing to change. All of a sudden, people don't work in their office anymore. They've lost that sense of social interaction at work. So everything is changing, and it's our ability to stay focused in the moment on what we have at hand. The number one thing I coach every single day is grace. We have to give ourselves grace right now. We have to give other people grace. We just have to operate from a state of grace because we don't know how much longer this is going to last. The workplace is probably never going to go back to what it was before, because once something has happened, it becomes a future possibility. It can happen again. So that was an example for me where I pivoted. But then when all of this happened, I was like, wow, I'm finally ahead of the curve. I've always felt like being a bumbling boomer, right? That I was behind in technology and everything. And I finally realized, wow, I'm actually ahead of the game. This is kind of cool. So, whenever you have some kind of an adversity, we can stay in the problem, and that doesn't get us where we need to go. What we need to do is go acknowledge that there's a problem, and then immediately, what is the solution? Think, what is the solution? Go to solution mode. See, our emotions are dictated entirely by the meaning we give to things. So somebody gets laid off at work and they go, well, I enjoyed my time here, and this was a good opportunity. I learned a lot of things, and now I'm going to take that and I'm going to go and find an even better job. And the person across the street gets laid off, and I knew the boss never liked me. I knew he always was out to get me. I'm sure I've been blackballed. I'm going to have to move my family to another town to get a job. Same experience, two different meanings, and most importantly, an entirely different set of emotions around it. So I know it's a little bit long, but it's an opportunity to cover a little bit of that question in several different ways.
And if I could, pull it out a little bit more, you really touched upon people. A lot of our decisions, a lot of things we do are to satisfy others. I mean, that's just who we are. It's how we're constructed. And choice, what you indicate is like choosing to have a different idea or different mindset about things. But that really begins with the people around you. So
absolutely.
example on my end is like when I approached my dad about my initial business about going into real estate, he's like, oh, well, and then, you get that from, I got that from my mom too. She's like, well, did you think about, it wasn't like, oh, well, go, congratulations. And because you're continually trying to satisfy the people around you, you always have to kind of separate yourself. And if there's a plug for you, I mean, looking for somebody to kind of snap ourselves back out of it, because there are things that we want for ourselves, and then there's things we want for others.
Sure.
And so much of our lives are to satisfy other people that sometimes we need somebody to snap us back, and that could be John Page Burton. So if there's a plug for you, John, having a mentor, having a coach out there is something that I would recommend doing and pursuing. And John could be that person for you. That's why we initially talked about you as a person, because we want people to connect with you and feel comfortable with that.
Sure.
And I must say that you are quite the memeteer, if you know what that means. You definitely like to post a lot of memes who are very spiritual or at least reflective. This is one of them. Be yourself, pretending to be someone else's identity theft, allowing your authenticity to overwhelm your ego. The world needs you. Yeah. John Page Burton. Yeah. And then I went through your Facebook feed too. And there's other ones too. You talked about the Joneses, and I think that's actually one I pulled up.
Sure.
Remember, have your own. The Joneses have their own set of challenges. Hashtag run your race. Sure. Yeah. And then one more, since we're at it. The one thing again I like about your page is it's continually inspiring, continually positive. I don't know if you wrote this one; you didn't have your name on it, but be brave enough to suck at something new.
That's not one of mine, but I like it. Whenever I see a good one, I like to get it out there. I wish they would have put their name to it. That's one of the best ones, right? Get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, and it goes back to that mindset: choosing where you want to be, choosing to go home to your wife or your spouse, and moping all afternoon about how you lost your job, or surround yourself by somebody like John who's going to say, "Hey, get off your ass and let's get to work." This isn't moping time. Okay, well maybe mope a little bit, but then get back on the horse the next day. So I can
tell you one thing that's really important to the point of what you're saying is that the 5 to 7 people that you spend the most time with have the single biggest influence over your life, right? Yeah. So if you're around a bunch of people hanging out bitching about work at the bar, that's your world. If you're around people like Robert, around myself, around people who are really into, trying to become better people, we're really on that path to be a better person today than we were yesterday. See, that's the whole thing. Your challenge is, everyone's challenge is just be better today than you were yesterday. Just that's your challenge. Just be a better person today than you were yesterday. We live in a culture of progress. And so if we're just working on just being better today, but if we're around negative people or around people who are, they're always complaining about the country and the president and this, that, and the other, and everything's negative, that's what's getting into your head. So if you don't like that, change your associations. You'll immediately change your life for the better. And if you have people that are really positive and uplifting, spend more time with them. I know it's tough now because of COVID, but, get on these types of calls, get around personal development, go take a Tony Robbins UPW online event. It's amazing. I mean, there's so many things you can do that will get you thinking differently. That's the key.
Or we could just call you too. And I do know you, we're here to talk about your book too. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that a little early before we kind of move on to the next segment. But Wisdom Through Failure, WTF.
Yeah.
Good job, Mark. I have yet to receive my copy, which I was promised. I'm hoping I get that soon.
Tomorrow morning.
Yes, and I'm excited to delve into that. But I did want to mention that before we get to our next segment. We do have a word from our sponsor. Again, if you like what you're seeing, give us a little love, give us those hearts, a little wow emoji, give us a little thumbs up even. I like those too. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and type them in. The last segment of our show today, the last 20 minutes, we're going to be answering your questions or anything that kind of pops up along the way. So if you want to go ahead and type those in, we'll get to them. And stick around to the very end. We do have a special giveaway to our very special guest who's watching. Anybody who answers a very specific question. So we'll get there. And this is, like I said, a word from our sponsor. Hang in there, John. We're almost done.
That's good. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I have a gift, and it's a healing gift. to help others laugh and go through their lives. And I just want to share that. I would love to have just a really healthy relationship with everybody and be the person that I am in helping others grow. If you're a true entrepreneur, you have the spirit that's going to carry through, and they're self-motivating and reliant upon themselves for everything. Suburban is a company that hangs its hat on its reputation. You know, we're all about that handshake and a smile and the pat on the back. I believe in networking so you can meet other like-minded people and trade business secrets and help each other grow. My name is Jeffrey Wasaklo, and I'm the Marketing Director for Suburban Mortgage. And this is our CEO Network. I did think you would forget about that.
It's Jeffrey Wasaklo from Suburban Mortgage, a longtime sponsor of us. Part of my other business. I appreciate everything and all the support they have. Shout out to Kelsey Rognes over there at Suburban Mortgage, who helps me with all my loans. And we're back, Mr. John Burton. So this is the last segment of our show. Again, if you're watching us on the live feed, go ahead and type in those questions. We'll get to them. I do have a couple questions from audience that couldn't make the show today, so they asked me to kind of reach out there. In essence, who you are as a person and your passion, it really drives you to what you're doing. As people are changing their careers or facing kind of this COVID thing and really reflecting upon their lives and what they want to move forward, they're obviously choosing different career paths. You know, as somebody chooses a career path, is there any kind of advice or anything that you could, give a person or encouragement as they embark on that new journey?
Yeah, so in normal, I'll answer that question two ways. In normal times, I would say that really follow your passion. It's hard to if you're doing something that you're just doing for a paycheck, or your heart's not into it. Number one, you're probably not doing it the best job you can. Number two, you're probably not getting paid what you're worth. So with that being said, I would say it's always cautionary, especially now before you make a change. You really have to be 100% clear on what it is that you want to do. And especially now, the job market's a little bit unstable. Things are operating in a different manner. So I would encourage people right now to really, unless you know that you can make a change, that you can pivot into something that there's a demand for. In these times right now, I wouldn't encourage too many people to change careers. I would say just ride it out. But when we get back into a more sense of more normalcy, it's always wise to just be really clear. And everybody's situation's different. A 35-year-old single person can make a career pivot a lot more easily than a 47-year-old professional who has a family of 3 or 4, who has different considerations. So it's always wise to take those kind of the economics, the family structure into play. So everybody's different, but I think as a rule of thumb, I always say that, if you're going to make that kind of a change, make sure you're doing something that's authentic to you and not because of a, paycheck. I mean, we can get a better paying job, but if it's not something we really enjoy, it goes back to what we talked about before, about fulfillment, is that you always want to kind of try to figure out a way that you can blend that achievement and fulfillment. So you want to get the better paying job, but doing something that makes you feel fulfilled at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I guess the first question, we just got one in, but the first question I had came from me, as I was listening to you, you're dividing up passion between making money. One of the challenges I've had personally is taking this network, taking what we did on Saturday mornings as like this free kind of like kumbaya session, like really trying to meet minds and masterminds, I guess. This network started off on Saturday mornings, coffee, donuts, not drinking, not at night, not a party. Like I really wanted to develop relationships and move forward, and at some point there was a breaking point. I'm like, I have to make money doing this. I have to charge people because expending a lot on my own for this passion to bring people together. And I don't know if that's evident in the things that we do or the videos. And Violet will probably kick me. And like, there's so many times I just want to offer a free video just to get the practice, or because I'm faced with a challenge. And I know I can't do that because it's a lot of my time. I invest a lot of my energy. I'll be up until 1 o'clock focusing on just one transition on a video. And these things take anywhere from like 6 to 10 hours to do. I guess, could you help somebody like me who's like bringing their passion and trying to convert that into a money-making endeavor without losing the passion of that? Because money does tend to do that.
Yeah, well, let's say the first thing I would tell people, and I see this with coaches starting out, that they want to go out and find five people to practice on free, right? I always get that thing.
Yeah.
You know, I offer a free 45-minute consultation. It usually ends up being an hour on the front end, because it's very important to determine, is it going to be a good fit? Number one, can I help you? Number two, are you comfortable with me helping you? Is it going to be a good fit? But beyond that, you talk about giving away videos, or you want to do that. You don't want to do that because you have a tremendous amount of talent. I'm telling you, this is one of the better interviews I've ever done. I mean, you're doing a fabulous job. So you're talented and you're gifted as an interviewer. Your video production is exceptional. But to get to that place, you have a lot of years of
Thank you, by the way.
practice and work. You're welcome. Practice and work and all that. So that's worth something. And I share that even with coaches starting out. But how do I get my first clients? Just put it out there. Get yourself out there, and the right people will come to you. This interview is a product. I did not know Gabriella. She was someone who'd signed up for my newsletter. I didn't even know she liked it until one day I got an email from her saying, "Hey, I really like it. And hey, there's this show. Would you be interested in talking to us about?" Wow, that's an opportunity. But when I probe deeper, she's been following my message for three and a half years.
Yeah, she's a LinkedIn troll.
Yeah, there you go. So it's one of these things where, and that's how a lot of my clients come. They just follow me. So by the time we have that conversation, they already have a pretty good idea who I am. But you're charging your clients for your expertise. You put time and effort into this, whether it's college, whether it's professional continuing education, all of that. When people ask me, what do you charge an hour, and I tell them, they say, "Wow, that's high." And I say, "Yeah, you're paying for 30 years of knowledge." So I can take you from decades to days, and that's the secret to this. If you want to find out how to do something, go find someone that's already mastered it and model what they're doing, and you turn decades into days. And that's, so yeah, I would tell anybody, don't ever give it away, because then you don't have a business. When something's always free, it's not a business, it's a hobby.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a marker of insecurity when you hear a no, or you get turned down the first time, and so if you're a small business and you just want to be accommodating as possible, then you're really not portraying your value for your client, and you're really not portraying your value for yourself. So if I could,
I want to give you a really good example. It's really quick. So today I had somebody unsubscribe from my newsletter, and I shared this with my wife. Yeah, it was kind of funny because. So this is a person who came and heard me speak at a live event, walked away with a free book, went to his business because he was struggling, and spent an hour with him, bought his product while I was there. And so today he unsubscribes, and his reason was, "I have 195 emails in my inbox, and I'm really sorry, but I have too many emails." And I thought, gosh, some people, their first thought would have been, "Oh my God, is it, No, my first thought was, you idiot. You have 195 emails, and you just got off the one list of the guy that's giving you everything you need to stay in the right mindset to get out of the business that's slowly failing, that you're going to probably end up losing. What an idiot." That was my first thought. I didn't take it personally. I thought, of all those 109, there's 194 you could have got rid of. Why'd you pick mine? Because I could have helped you out. You might have gotten something from one of my messages, but everybody's in a different place,
Yeah.
And I'm sure none of that ever crossed his mind.
Yeah. And the person that subscribed from my list is a really close relative. I won't say what her name are, because my mom might get mad. So, so our first question is from our audience. What would you say to someone who is going through a family loss but needs a push or a lift in his or her business?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, right now, let's be realistic. We live in a very, there's a lot of background noise going on behind us. There's a lot of, every night you turn on the news, it's really about death. It's about loss, potential loss. So we're already in that space right now. I think whenever there's a loss, I mean, my wife in her own right is going through some challenges today because Sunday we were out driving through wine country, got a phone call and found out one of her key peers in her business died in his sleep. And then, so as they're putting together the arrangements for his funeral, one of his closest workers she found out this afternoon, his brother just had a heart attack and died this afternoon. So all of a sudden, this is all around her on the heels of her losing her brother a couple of years ago suddenly. So all of that stuff it's a challenge. And what would I say to somebody? I would say that it's really, really important for you to stay in the moment and to not try to be in the future, not try to be in the past, but be in the moment. And grief is really one of those things where you have to go with it. And by go with it, if you want to scream and kick the walls and curse God, then that's what you do. If you want to just be quiet and have a bottle of wine, that's what you do. If you want to pick up the phone and call your pastor, that's what you do. You have to go with it because, we're all going to experience loss. If you haven't had it, you're going to. And so nobody handles loss the same way. Everybody has a different relationship to it. Everybody has different reference points in their life for loss. So, and I don't know if I'm answering his question, exactly the way that maybe you want it, but I think that, with loss, you just have to be present. You just have to stay with it. And whatever you're feeling, you go with, and you don't condemn yourself. It's that word grace again. Grace is the word for 2020. And that's just my take on it, because I have a couple of people in my life who are going through those kind of things right now. Another friend of mine, her mother-in-law was diagnosed with ALS. So, I mean, it's like, same thing. We had a conversation this morning. I was just like, you're present with it. You cherish the time, but you can't go through anything. You can go through things alone, but you really don't have to. And I don't think you should. I think you should always reach out to find somebody. And that goes back to that few minutes ago, the 5 to 7 people we spend the most time with. That is our circle of influence. Those are the people those are your 2 a.m. friends. Those are people you'd call at 2 a.m. and they'll put on their clothes and come over to sit with you. That's why it's so important to build your circle of influence, your infrastructure, but to build it with really quality people. Because when you go through these things, it makes a bad thing so much easier to cope with, I think. So
yeah, and some of the best friends give you advice that sometimes you don't want to hear. And there's been so many times where I've gone against the grain and just been so upset with somebody who was just being very real to me. And I will say, on a spiritual level, people that come to your life, situations that happen, all happen for a reason.
Absolutely.
If you follow that mantra of spirituality. But
coach or a friend too, real quick. Coach or a friend, they're just an objective set of eyes. You're the one that's in the pain right now. You're the one that's suffering that loss. Your friends, your coach, or whoever the people are in your life, your mentors, they're that objective set of eyes that can listen. And that's where empathy comes in. There's a big difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is, hey, I'm really sorry, that really sucks. And empathy is, hey, I've been where you are and I understand your pain. I don't know exactly what you're feeling because I'm not you, but I can relate to it because I suffered a loss as well. So that circle is so critical. I can't say that enough.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Mr. John, we're coming to the end of our show. We have about 4 minutes left, and I'm getting we need to talk about your books before it gets too late. I did want to do a plug towards your website, though, real quick. If you want more information regarding John, about his business, about his career coaching, life coaching, johnpageburton.com is where to go. I'm on the page right now. And on the website, it's got his personal coaching information as well as his books. Dogs Don't Chase Parked Cars, and then Wisdom Through Failure. Do you want to describe those books real quick, a little bit?
Yeah, so Dogs Don't Chase Parked Cars, I subtitled that Boldly Living, Loving, and Leading. It's really about getting in the game. Dogs don't chase parked cars. In other words, if you're not moving, you're in your comfort zone. There's nobody. It's not exciting to anybody. I mean, when we're living small, we're living below what our capabilities are. That doesn't excite anybody. It doesn't even excite us. So, why would I took that as a spinoff because I always heard dogs don't chase parked cars. In other words, get moving and do something. If nobody's criticizing you, you aren't doing anything. If nobody has something to say about you, you're probably not doing anything. And then Wisdom Through Failure, it says it all. I mean, wisdom, our greatest lessons are learned through setbacks and obstacles and sometimes outright failure. And both of the books are very inspirational in nature. They're just anecdotes or life experiences. Some of them are extremely personal. I mean, I talk a lot about relationships with family members I'd had over the years and things. So they're both and they're done in a way that's really easy. It's something you can read in the morning and talk to your spouse about. The sections are usually only a couple pages, but a lot of book clubs like them because they can read it and they can really talk about it. And it'll cause some good discussion, I would imagine. So that's what they're about.
And that's on johnpageburton.com.
johnpageburton.com, yeah.
So we're going to share that one more time. But there's one book on there, briefly, if you want to talk about Knowing Shit from Shinola. That wasn't on there.
Right, Knowing Shit from Shinola is not on there right now because we're getting ready to reprint it. We're doing another revision. Like that is the second or third version of Wisdom Through Failure. I first wrote that in 2014. I think I published it. So we just did some reworking and then that's a brand new cover. It's not our same cover. So Knowing Shit from Shinola was just really kind of a spinoff too of that old saying that, people say, well, you don't know shit from Shinola. And this book is, if you read it, you will, because it's about getting real with yourself. And it's really about understanding yourself and who you are. And once you know who you are, your trip through life is so much easier because you can be authentic and you can be yourself. And that's really the nature of that. So that'll be back up there. We don't like to have anything up there if it's not in stock, because then people order it and I can't deliver, and that's not good either. They go, you bum.
So coming to you soon, Knowing Shit from Shinola.
Coming back to you soon, yeah. Probably by Christmas.
Yeah, get those gift baskets ready.
That's
right. So a last couple of housekeeping items. Again, Our CEO Network. If you want to market your business here with us at Our CEO Network, we create your marketing videos. We offer social media management support and highlight you at our events, such as this webinar, this Zoom call. Instant messages here on Facebook at ourceonetwork.com for details about becoming a sponsor and marketing opportunities. With the power of Disodia and Insight Productions, we are here at Our CEO Network to help you with your marketing needs. Look at that. That came off pretty clear, Mr. Burton. So one last plug too for you. People can contact you. I have your LinkedIn information, and then of course your website. People can find you there on LinkedIn at John Page Burton. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep. The only one in the world. So you screw it up, you'll still find me.
So again, LinkedIn. Is there any other way we can contact you for more information? There was a lot of content. I still got like 40 questions, and then I didn't even get to my other questions.
Yeah. So if you want to reach me, if you want to reach out, or you have a question or something you really you want to talk to me about, johnpageburton@gmail.com. And that's JOHNPAGE Burton BURTON @gmail.com. Just reach out. I'm usually really good about getting back to people, and something you feel like you want to talk to me, I offer a 45-minute consultation, and there's no attachment whatsoever. I mean, if it's something I can help you with, great. You're going to walk away from that with tools. Believe me, it's not one of those things where we're trying to sell you anything. You will walk away with 45 minutes or an hour's worth of tools that if you did nothing else, they would give you something to work with whatever situation you're in. So yeah, that's it.
And the last thing I wanted to do was talk about our giveaway. I didn't really talk to you about it. I was hoping we could talk about it before, but I put you on the spot. So we're going to do a book giveaway for WTF.
Yep.
So if you want a copy of John's book, you have to answer one question. You have to be the first person to answer this. Where did John receive a certificate of science of well-being? What was the university that he got this certificate from? John can't answer it because he's in the game. But whoever answers that first question, so which university did John get his certificate of science of well-being? It's on the LinkedIn page. If you go on there, it is on the johnpageburton.com. It's on the very first page. It's on there too. So again, certificate of science of well-being. If you can answer that, you get a free copy of John's book. He'll mail it to you. So,
absolutely.
So John, you get 2 seconds to last words of advice.
Thank you. First of all, it's a fabulous interview. I appreciate what you're doing with our CEO network. And it's just been an honor and privilege to be here. And I know with these type of interviews, we're flying and we're throwing a lot of stuff out there. But, if there's one thing I'd leave you with right now, it's the same thing I tell everybody every day. And that's show yourself and those around you grace, because we are in an unprecedented, crazy time. There's a lot of weird energy swirling around. It's probably going to get a little bit crazier. And just stay present and exhibit grace, mainly for yourself. Self-care, really important right now. Do things for yourself, and hey, wear a mask when you do that.
And call John.
Give me a call, yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll be talking to you guys soon.
Thank you.